9:30 bell, I'm already down. Sweep the highs, watch it fail, fade the trap. Dow trader, I just read the map. 2 trees, flat by lunch, never miss the rail. Dow trader, liquidity's mine. Green on the day for your coffee's on time. Let's go.
Welcome to the Tuesday night video, May 26th. We're looking at the SPY chart here. We did open gapped up today. We rejected the overnight high into open, pulled back to the previous day's high, perfectly supporting that level, and then continued back to the upside. So we had a perfect gap fill reversal type of day. If you don't know, have a strategy for gaps or gap fill reversals, etc., I do have all that stuff on my website under strategies. And I may have some videos about it. Can't quite recall on that. If I don't, I will sometime soon. Regardless, looking forward on SPY, if I was going to trade it, I would be willing to trade a pullback to 743.50. If we got a pullback there and I saw clearly the buyers were stepping it up off of this level, I'd be willing to attempt a long off that level for continuation back up. Otherwise, consolidation above this level is fine. Then a higher low above, that would be fine. And as you can see, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high. That said, as long as SPY stays above 732.25, I don't see any problems with the upturn continuation. All right, moving on over to the QQQ chart. QQQ actually closed a little bit stronger than SPY, though similar. We left some of this gap open over here on QQQ and closed near the highs. Also, as you can see, we have a higher low down here, higher high up here. So same story, as long as really as we hold this level, 699, then there is no problems with the trend continuation on QQQ. The absolute best trade I can see on QQQ would be pull back, close the remainder of this gap, and then get a gap fill reversal off the gap, come back and target equal highs. That would obviously be the best trade. Second best would be consolidation here, then a break up above with a higher low. And also this could work, just a higher low above today's high a day. That's obviously going to be the riskiest trade. And the expected move out of the options market for this week was only 732.80, and we're practically there on the first day of the week. So something to think about. All that said, in theory, when you break out of a range like this, the theory is once you break out of it, you get your higher low, you're supposed to double that range on the next leg. So if you want to go by that theory, then we've got a ways to go. Next on a chopping block, IWM, the Russell. I do believe one of the trade ideas I shared in last week's video was any higher low above 287.60. As you can see, that worked out very nicely today. As you would expect, as long as interest rates are moving in a downward direction, as long as oil's moving in a downward direction, as long as things with Iran are de-escalating, you can expect probably positive bullish movement in the Russell, because those things are highly reflective in the Russell. So if any of those things go bad, obviously you can expect the opposite in the Russell. And a lot of the companies in the Russell are also in SPY, so it does have whatever's happening in the Russell. You also see some of that affect SPY to an extent. Going forward on the Russell, if you're not already long from above 287.60, the best way to get long from here would be a pullback that closes this gap and a gap fill reversal off of it. Probably would look more like this, higher low here, and then up. Really, you could attempt higher lows over the yesterday's high day. I probably wouldn't do that in the Russell unless we have like a catalyst that is oil interest rate related. We'll go ahead and do DIA, the Dow, just for fun as well. Today it did come back and close the gap that was left open on Friday. This is the previous all-time high right here. So tomorrow, if we can maybe look below the previous all-time high, come back up with a higher low, I could see rotating back to equal all-time highs. Or if we just consolidate in this area, then break out higher low above, totally fine. Looking at the MU chart, MU is obviously just the beast of this market, just pretty much insane at this point, right? If I was going to trade this going forward, I think the best way to trade it, oh, that was a terrible line. Let me fix that. It is possible that if there was a lower high below 874.10, we could see some retracement right here. But shorting MU is not intelligent at all. I wouldn't do it. But what I would consider doing is if price got into this gap that was left open today, came back up, rejected the gap, got a higher low back above the gap, I think that would be great for a long. It would also be great if the gap actually filled and we got a gap fill reversal, some type of pattern showing the reversal there. That would be a great long. Otherwise, consolidation, several days of consolidation, then a higher low, that would be okay. That's about the only three ways I would consider taking new trades on MU. Okay, the meta chart. I bring this chart up quite a bit. I mean, and reason is, we're still waiting for the trade to happen, right? So if we can get a higher low above 619.70, target gap top. Otherwise, a lower high below 598.15, target gap top. The other one was gap bottom. This is gap top. And then from there, well, from there, the more likely way that it will go, could go, from there, may pull back to the previous bounce high, then come up higher low into the gap, target who knows how much gap fill all the way here or more, very possible. Huge trade if and when so. If, however, it comes up here and rejects, comes back in with a lower high, then the bottom of the range becomes the target, okay? And then once we hit the top of this gap, we may come up to the bounce bottom again, then come back down, lower high into the gap to fill this gap down here. If we get into the gap and it is rejected and we come back in, reclaim the top of the gap, then reclaim the bottom of the bounce range, then I would target top of the bounce range. And then you start thinking about the gap above. So that is how that trade works with gaps above and below and a bounce range in the middle. It's cooking up to where it's going to be a really awesome trade one way or another at some point. So it is definitely on my radar. AMD also breaking to massive new all-time highs again. Best trade, pull back to the previous all-time high. get something that shows buyers are stepping in right there, then take it back to equal highs. Alternatively, come in, close this gap, get a gap fill reversal, some type of reversal pattern, something showing buyers are stepping it in, reclaim top of the gap, reclaim previous all-time high, equal highs. And again, just like we've been saying on everything else, consolidation up here is cool. Then a higher low above, that's the better. And who knows, maybe we are going back into lockout rally mode and just higher lows above yesterday, high a day to continue like we were before, right? Okay, we're looking at Tesla. I like what I'm seeing on Tesla. Probably going to be one of my top priorities tomorrow, as long as we open between 429.25 and this gap bottom at 434.70. I'd be looking for any higher low into that gap to fill it. If we pop into the gap, come back below and go like that, I'm just getting out of the way. I'm not shorting. Okay, we're now looking at the TSM chart. TSM is starting to creep up to the top of this bounce range, and what that means is I am simply waiting for a higher low above 419.65 to break out of this huge bull flag, or if you want to call this a double bottom, and 419.65 the neckline, that's fine. Then you get a break above the neckline, pull back to the top of it, and continuation to the upside. So I'd be looking to get long on that pullback above that level. This has been an ongoing several week bull flag going on. So hey, we're creeping up to that level, so it may be soon time for that to occur. Obviously, if you get something like this, you may want to stand back and wait for a break above with a higher low, with decent volume, with decent market internals, all going on at the same time. We are now looking at the Google chart. I like what I see starting to form on this Google chart here. It kind of opened up bearish today. It was a little bit bearish on Friday, but it never broke below this 380.70, which is kind of the line in the sand for the bears to like get a good pullback in. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, as long as we're above that, we're just bull flagging, right? The reason I like it was the ideal place for a higher low on this chart on the daily is this 384.10. We broke below that level today and then quickly recovered it, also recovering the 20 SMA and closing above it. So I could see a world where we get a little higher low above today's high a day, come in to 392.75. And then a higher low above 392.75 brings us in to at least top of the bounce range and should in theory quite possibly bring us up to equal all-time highs. So watching Google closely, obviously, if we do at any time get a lower high below 380.70, I am probably willing to get short through all this thin structure over here on the left-hand side and at least target the top of this gap and then see what happens from there, see if it comes through, fills the entire gap. Then from there, I'd be looking for some type of gap fill reversal to the long side. Looking at Amazon, remained in basically consolidation today. I do like this pattern forming on Amazon. Do you see it? The inverted head and shoulders, kind of a flat top right here. So any higher low above 269.50, count me in for Amazon. I'm all over that. And I remain interested as long as we stay above 258.25. Okay, we're looking at NVIDIA now. Definitely had a bearish days, had a bearish several days, actually has an hourly downtrend going on. Broke below 214, slightly recovered the 20 SMA. So if we open up here somewhere tomorrow, move up overnight, then this will probably become one of my top watch charts tomorrow to see if we can break back above 218.35 and get a higher low, effectively making all this down here a look below and fail on the 20 SMA. So that's the main thing I'm watching out for on NVIDIA. If it continues to pull back, I'll probably just step aside for the time being. All right, we're now looking at Intel. Intel looks pretty decent. Very simply, can we get a higher low above 124 to come up here and target equal all-time highs? Any consolidation below here, I just continue to wait for that higher low above 124. And I think that's it. I'm just waiting for a higher low above 124. Otherwise, not interested. All right, here's a cheaper trade idea on a cheaper scale. It is UPS. I like it because over the past day or two, it recovered the 200, the 20, and the 50 SMAs and kind of closed strongly above. It actually gapped up today, never fully closed the gap. So the other thing I like about it is we have a huge gap right above us. Okay. I probably wouldn't target an entire gap close at once. I'd probably target that right there, right around 105 or something like that. But here's what I'm looking for. As you can see, we kind of got this diagonal type double bottom looking thing. This would be the neckline right here, right around 101. So a pullback to 101 that held, which would have been Friday's high a day, would be perfectly fine if buyers step it up right there. You get some type of hammer candle, some type of inverted head and shoulders, reversal pattern, whatever it is, bunch of volume steps up right there. I would be willing to get long off that, come back in. First target being bottom of gap, and then any higher lows into this gap. Start looking at maybe a half gap fill, something like that. It's a pretty decent idea. If it does get below this like 101 area and loses these 20 and 50 SMAs, then I'll probably just step aside on that one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I may come up with additional trade ideas throughout the night. I haven't really looked through any other charts other than what we've gone through here so far. So make sure you're following on X, Dow Trader on X, so that you can see any additional trade ideas I might post tonight or in the morning. Who knows? All right, I'm out.
Yeah. That's the setup, that's the play, that's the plan. Log the trade, close the app, wash my hands. No revenge, no chase, no holding the loss. Dow Trader disciplines the boss. You saw the level, you saw the sweep, now you know. Patience over prediction, that's the dog. Dow Trader, smash that subscribe. I'll be back at the open, watch the next one ride.